Howdy y'all, this is Dwight and welcome back to my channel. Well, I thought I'd try to do another build series. I'm just going to do just a simple basic pocket knife. We can kind of turn it into a build along series if you would want to attempt to build this along with me, or if you just want to watch and see how I go about doing my process. Either way's fine. But I wanted to do another build series again. It's been a little while, and I don't know how quickly I'll be able to get through it, but as I'm able, I will film working on this particular pocket knife. That way, you can follow along and see how things go. So, I'll turn y'all around and we'll face my little bench here, and I'll show you what we'll be building. Okay, here's the pattern I'm going to be using. As here is just a basic trapper pattern, and as far as the size, we'll get it down here, and it is basically 3 3/4 inch long in the handle, and I'm going to be using, if you notice I got 2 holes on the end. I'm going to be using the upper hole because that gets the pen centered more in the handle. I originally started with that one, wasn't happy, so I put a new hole in there. But if you would like to use this pattern, feel free to take a screenshot or pause the video, take a picture of it, whatever. But this is the trapper pattern I'm going to be using. And as far as the metal, I'm going to be using CPM 154. It's a stainless steel, 3/32 thick. This is just inch wide, and this is just mill finish. Now, mill finish, it is going to be slightly oversized of the 3/32, which is just fine because we'll be doing some surface grinding on this to make sure everything is flat before we after heat treat. That's usually when I do that. But to get started, I'll take my blade. This is just some stainless liner material that I made this out of, and I'm going to get the spine fairly close to the edge. I usually leave about a 1/16, something like that. Now hold that down firm, and I got just a cheap scribe off of the old Jungle website. Now I go around it, which right now I ain't too concerned if things move around a little bit, because all I'm doing is doing the basic outline for whenever I'm going to be cutting this out. Now I am still cutting things out with a angle grinder with a metal cutoff wheel on it. I do have a cheap portaband bandsaw, and it is fantastic for handle materials. But I ruined the blade just really quick trying to figure out the speed I needed to do metal, and I have a bunch of cutoff wheels for my angle grinder still yet. So before I mess too much around with the bandsaw, I'm just going to make use of those cutoff wheels I already have. Okay, and for the liner material, I'm going to be using this stainless sheet stock. It is 40 thousandths thick, and it's just 410. Get this down on here, and again, I'm not super concerned at this stage with perfection. I'm just wanting the basic shape that I'm going to be cutting. Okay, now what you can see on there just looks like scratches. Make it look a little better for the video. What I'm going to be cutting is, we'll follow that line right there. We'll come in and go across. And that's the shapes I'm going to actually cut. I ain't worried about getting this properly sized at this stage. So, I'll get everything cut out and we shall return. Alright, we got our parts rough cut out. As we can see, shapes are extremely rough, nothing precise. Everything is oversized. For an example, I'll show you this liner right here. It is large all the way around with plenty of room. It's not even close to being shaped yet. Now, in my opinion, for someone just starting out and learning, keeping your parts oversized, especially the liner material, is beneficial. Up to this point, I have made over 100 pocket knives, and I still struggle with, if I try to immediately make my liner material the exact same size as my pattern, I will mess something up and will have to remake my liner materials because I've made something too small somehow. Happens way too many times. So even I ain't no expert, but even though I have made quite a few pocket knives, I still leave things oversized in the beginning of the process. Okay, so what's the next part of the process? Take our rougher and cob looking parts. As we can see, got rough scuffs on there from where I was using the grinder to take the burrs off. It's not deep, as you can hear. It doesn't sound super scratchy. Those will come out quite nicely whenever we surface grind, so there's no worries on that. Now, if you gouge in super deep, yes, that is a worry. At least over in here. Up in here, not so much, because still got blade bevels to grind in. But anyways, our next step is going to be to start drilling some holes. So, take our pattern, and we'll put it on here. And as we can see, things are still slight oversized, especially along here. I got fairly close up here towards the tip, but that's fine. Slight oversized, and I got real close to that corner. That was actually a little dangerous, but I'm still oversized good enough. So I'm going to be moving right over here, and I'm just holding this in my hand where I want it. I just got a regular old center punch, put it right there in the hole. Now I don't care where that's at, because I'm holding it. Not a center punch right through my pattern. And I will go ahead and do the same thing for the back spring. Now on the back spring, I will only center punch the end hole first. That's just my preference. I do not center punch the end and the center hole at the same time. There we go. Because I want to put a pin through that end hole and then center punch the center one. That helps keep things more consistent that way. Okay, at the drill press, I have a cheap bit in here. That is 3/32 exactly, because I use 3/32 pins. And here in a second, you'll find out a little trick I use. Okay, now when you get 3/32 inch pin stock, it is usually slightly larger than 3/32. So I will let you all figure out what size you want to get, but I get just a slightly larger machine bit. This is what this is called, a machine bit. It's cobalt, I think, and it's slightly oversized in 3/32 because at the moment, I will demonstrate. This is our 3/32 hole. Here's a 3/32 inch pin. It does not want to go through. It kind of starts, but it doesn't want to. Now some makers will chalk this up in a drill and lightly sand this down until it will fit through there. I just got a little bit extra size drill bit here. It's an extra step, yes, but for me, it works for me. It won't work for everybody, or be their preference, I should say. Okay. Goes through nice and easy and smooth. I won't say what size bit that is. That will be your homework, but I will say that is a machine bit which does a lot smoother surface than just a normal regular drill. Okay, one thing I like to do, there really isn't much of a burr around these holes, but there's a little bit, so I just take a larger drill bit, no particular size, just one that's good size, and just run it around real quick, and that takes what little burr there is off of it. Okay, now again for the back spring, take our pattern, take a pin. Now I like wrapping a little bit of just cheap painter's tape around one end for setup pins. Now put that in with that tape around it. It isn't just going to fall through. So now I can line my back spring pattern up onto my piece of metal where I want it. Take my punch. And center punch the center hole then. And that keeps this hole and this hole distance apart consistent on all my pocket knives by doing it that way. So now I'm going to go ahead and drill the center hole like I did the previous two. Okay, and there's my back spring. I got the center hole drilled in it. Now next, we will be moving on to our liner material. Got my liner pattern here, and I'm going to be lining it up to where got excess all the way around. Do the pivot hole on both pieces. If you notice, I have a pretty good gouge right there, so I'm making sure I'm beneath it. I did let the angle grinder slip a little. Okay. And that pivot hole. I'm only going to be doing the pivot holes on my liner material for the same exact reasoning as I did the end hole and then put the pin through and then center punch the middle hole. I don't do the middle center hole on these until setup, but it's the same concept to make sure my pivot hole is exact length to the end hole on both pieces. I only drill one hole at a time. Now, does that make me remove and put those drill bits in and out several times? Yes, it does. I personally am not as concerned about the quickness of how I do something. I am still more concerned about being consistent on certain aspects, and that a hole placement for me is one. I want to make sure I'm really consistent on that, because I have tried to drill my holes all at once, and there were several times where I got them offset side to side, front to back, however you want to say that. So instead of the liners being lining up evenly side to side, they was offset, which put the pins going through at an angle, and ultimately that moved the blade off center. And that is real easily done if you're not careful. Drilling holes in your liners is a very important step. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and drill these two holes next, and I'll be right back. Alright, here I'm back with my pivot holes drilled. I will also say that some of the more experienced makers will have hardened patterns that they use, and then they can like clamp their hardened pattern to their liner material, their blade and back spring, and drill the holes through their hardened pattern. And that is also how you can keep, especially in your liner material, your holes evenly spaced. I'm just using, like I mentioned before, liner material. It's not hardened, so I could waller the holes out easily if I ain't careful. So there is that. Now I'm going to be doing, see, I can't move my pattern front to back now since I have that pin in there. I'm now going to center punch my end hole. And we'll do the same on the other liner material. There we go. And I will drill the end holes now. All right. One thing I wanted to show real quick, I just drilled this end hole, and I have this, I'll just say, blowout on the other side. I don't know if the camera to focus. And see it when it punched through, that drill bit's starting to get dull, so it's pushing metal through a little bit. So I'm take my oversized drill bit and I press, sorry about that, I press firm, but not very hard. Just firm enough to take the burr off. There we go. Still isn't smooth, but that's fine. If you push too hard with this, you will actually put a bevel into your, or a divot into your liner material on both sides, which means where your pen is writing is on a fine edge instead of the full 40 thousandths. To get the rest of that burr off, I put it on a flat surface and sand it. Just another little tip for you. Okay, we have all our holes drilled with the exception of our center liner hole. I still haven't did that yet. That's for setup. Now I'm going to be starting to do some shaping. So put me a line up pin through the pivot here. Get the blade positioned to where I want it. Firmly hold it down. Let's see if we can see that halfway decent. I've got my scribe lines for my blade. Now all I'm going to be shaping is the bevel area, my clip, and the spine. I'm not going to really worry much on the back square as of yet. Okay, we'll get the back spring. And I will put both of the pins in to help hold it steady. Now I'm going to scribe along the spine, but I'm not going to shape the spine yet. I actually forgot to drill that center hole again. I was mistaken. After you center punch through your liner material, it pinches it. It just wasn't wanting to go through my pattern. But anyways, quick fix. There we go. Now we're cooking with grease. There we go. Yeah, we can see the scribe lines better on this one. Now, I'm not going to do anything along the spine yet. And I'm going to be leaving this at least a 1/16 proud. I am not going to go all the way to the scribe line right there. That is a good way to accidentally make your back spring tension too weak right off the bat. So I'm going to leave a healthy 1/16 proud. But the rest of it, I'm going to go all the way down to my scribe line along the inside. Okay, and moving on to the liner material. I'm going to put my line-up pins in, front and back. I'm going to grab my 1, 2, 3 block, because let the pins go all the way through. Scribe firmly all the way around. that on both liners. And yes, that looks a little bit of a mess. But again, on the spine, even on my liner, I am not going to go all the way to my scribe line. I'm going to leave that at least a 1/16 proud. On the inside, I will go all the way to my scribe line, and on the pivot end, I will also go all the way to my scribe line. Alright, so now with the liners finished, that gives us our basic shapes for the parts that we need to build this knife. Everything is still a little bit oversized in areas. For example, on the blade, I have the cutting edge pretty close. It's off a little bit in a couple spots, but that's okay. The important part is, as we can see along the spine of the blade, that is still proud. And that goes along with the spine of the back spring. That's obvious, way oversized. But the liner material, I keep that proud as well. As we can see, hopefully, yeah, along the spine there, that is pretty much right at a 1/16 of an inch. And of course, as I go through the process, you'll actually be able to see it, but I leave the spine proud on the liners, the spine of the blade, and of course the back spring. So after heat treat, when I'm able to put everything under tension and assemble it, I will then go along the spine, along the belt sander, and get everything flat. That way, the spine of the knife, spine of the back spring, spine of the liners, they should all be even and the same then. So that's just a short explanation for why I do that. Again, as I go through the process, we'll be able to tell. That will do it for this video, but the next video, I'm going to do the initial fit up that I do before heat treat, file in my sharpening tool, and put in the nail nick. That is, I know that will happen in the next video. Other than that, we'll have to wait and see what happens. For everyone that has stayed and watched all the way through, I do appreciate you. And until the next one, y'all take care.